talking real hot dog. Nah, I wish I could freestyle like these guys, but welcome everyone to Fresco's Fresh Produce podcast. On the last episode, we covered singer-songwriter Brian Nobles, so go check that out if you haven't. And also, I want to thank all the new and OG subscribers. I'm really excited about today's episode. I've been wanting to cover this one for a while now. Today, we're featuring a song recorded back in 2014 by two awesome creative artists, Massive J and Dacon, which at the time formed the group called Dacon. I actually have Massive J dialed up because I wanted to catch up with him and ask him a few questions about the song and what he's been up to. So stay tuned for that. And real quick, I wanted to give a plug to the Be Kind Rewind Shop owned by Josh Slaven. He's the one who got me in contact with Dacon to make the Words Over War thing happen. And the Be Kind Rewind Shop has handpicked vintage clothes, decor, and even specialize in finding items that you've been searching for. I don't think I've heard anyone take requests to find some vintage items. So if you're into vintage stuff, put him up to the challenge. I have links to his page below as well, the Instagram and Facebook. So show him some support. So let's get started. A little background on the session. My friend Josh hits me up and is like, yo, there's this rap duo looking to record. So I'm sending them your info. They reach out to me, and I remember they booked a session maybe 3 weeks in advance. And again, I had my mobile rig at the time, so when the day of the session came, I loaded up all my stuff and headed to Hattiesburg. I pull up to this apartment, and the first time I met them, they were super open, super cool dudes. So I start setting up, and they basically go to their station and start just jamming out. They're just bouncing ideas off each other, and they're doing it really well. This is the first time I've ever heard them too. They tell me they've had an idea for a song that they had performed, and I'm like, so you guys don't have a structure for it or anything? And they say that it was mostly together. So I'm really pumped because that's one of my favorite things to do is to collaborate with the artists on the production side. And the song they chose is called Words Over War. So Wards is a fast food chain in Mississippi, and in the song they pretty much rap about things only those who have dined in a Wards know about. So if you're from Mississippi, you know what I'm talking about. Now, Massive J had some sort of sequencer keyboard thing that he was creating the instrumentals on, and they start they're talking to me, and then they start jamming again, and I get another little personal mini show. So I just continue to set up while that's going on. I finish setting up, everything's plugged in. We start talking about the concept and about, wanting to go to Wards over going to war. And so I'm like, maybe you guys can do a little skit at the beginning where you're talking about that, which was no issue for them because they ad-libbed it. And I think we ended up keeping the first take. They were just like, oh, that sounds awesome, let's do it, boom. And it was done. Next, they knocked out the verses, which I think weren't completely done, but they maybe improvised the rest of it, then layered some actual ad-libs and stuff. And what was funny about when they recorded this is they were jumping back and forth into the mic. Oh, I remember I was looking down at Pro Tools, and then I see them jumping around. I look up. They were just hopping in and out of the mic when it was the other person's turn. And I wish I had filmed it because it was hilarious seeing them move out of the way in enough time for the next guy to come in on his part. And I think I just let them do that because they were having so much fun with it, and I can't even describe the energy in the room. Now, once the session is done, I pack up, and they put the song out a few weeks later. I don't really hear much from it until a year later. I hear that everyone that works for Wards and stuff has been bumping the song. So I'm noticing people are hearing the song even from other states. Now, it seems every few years, the song comes up in some way or another. I see Massive J looking for extras for a music video that he shot for the song. And it's so cool to see because this session seriously was one of the most chill, no pressure at all, basically jam about a local fast food restaurant. And it's one of the songs that keeps re-emerging throughout the years. So now that you got the backstory, I want to introduce you to Massive J, calling in from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. That's where you are now, right?
Yeah, I'm still in Hattiesburg.
Awesome. It's been a while. We haven't even talked on the phone or anything since, just, messaging back and forth. So I'm sure you too, like as I mentioned, the song just keeps coming up, like every year or two, like a different version of it, and I just hit you up randomly about the podcast. Do you also keep having like this song come up in your life, like randomly?
Well, I'm definitely getting recognized as being that Wards guy. It's weird, but in the last couple of years, it's come on strong. I was working at WUSM while I was still in school at Southern, and I started getting it to be played on the air. So that was one thing. People started hearing it on the radio randomly and being like, "What is this?" So.
Yeah, I saw some comment where someone was like, I just got through eating at Ward's for the first time, and then the song came on the radio, and I was like, what?
Funny how life works like that.
So I covered pretty much of what I could remember of the session. What specifics do you remember about it?
So I remember this being at my apartment over off of Pine Street in Hattiesburg. It was definitely on a Saturday. So I remember during our little intro, I'm like, well, it's Saturday. I still laugh about that. It's Saturday. The fact that you wanted to do that goofy little intro, like, we should come up with an intro for the song, like, how about a phone call, between two guys, like, we're doing these redneck impressions, like, hey, man, hi, what's up, man? I also remember it wasn't necessarily a very structured song. Like, it still needed some work. We were just kind of improvising a lot, and we decided in that session that we were at my house to give it some structure, like, I need to come up with some more bars. I need to write some more rhymes here, and I still laugh about one of the ones that I just came up with on the fly where I say something like, I need milling. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but whatever. It rhymes with filling. I need to. So ridiculous. We were just having a good time. I thought it was so cool that you came over and all your whole setup, man. It was so much fun.
I showed up not really knowing what was going to happen. I knew someone wanted to record a song, and I had talked to you a little bit before. And then, like, I come in, and it's like, what's up, man? And we're just kind of, like, hanging out. And I mentioned, like, you guys were basically jamming out, and I was having, like, a little private mini show of you guys just improvising the whole time and freestyling. And I was like, what is this? What's going on?
Yeah, it's, just the way that Dacon and I even got started together is kind of a interesting little story in itself, where Dacon used to host open mic nights at the Thirsty Hippo a little bit. And I had heard him up there a little bit. He's a rapper. He raps a little bit. And I'm like, that's cool. I love hip hop,
Yeah.
It's something I grew up with. And in Hattiesburg, there was this weird predicament where Johnny Dupree, the mayor, and this white guy was running for mayor against Johnny Dupree. The whole city was kind of like torn up, like in this weird, the white people want the white guy to, win the race, and then the black people want the black guy to win the race. And it was this weird time in Hattiesburg.
Yeah.
And there was an election, and my friend Derek, a mutual friend, decided to put together this little concert at the Thirsty Hippo called Unity Fest or something like that, to try and bring everybody together. And he had suggested that me and Dacon get together and perform for everybody. So it was kind of this interesting thing where, hey, I want you guys to perform together. You make goofy beats, Dacon raps, y'all should hook up and just make it happen. And then sure enough, that's kind of what happened. And believe it or not, this particular beat and song was kind of like the first thing we actually did.
Oh, wow.
As a group. Yeah. The backstory of the group is almost like a little bit of the backstory of this song, where our first little session of just goofing off together, he was kind of asking me, like, you got anything you've been working on? I'm all like, well, I sing this song about going to Wards all the time just to myself when I'm driving to Wards in the morning to get a biscuit for my boss. My boss would send me to Wards to get him breakfast, and I would just be like, I'm going to Wards.
Dude, every time I tell someone about this song, I'm like, yeah, Wards? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's a Mississippi thing, but I have to, like, go into the whole story.
It's an interesting thing. I think that's one of the things. I'm not originally from the Pine Belt, And I never would have imagined that a goofy song about this restaurant chain would have gotten so much recognition. So many people grew up on this restaurant, and it's like it's ingrained in people's lives. People have moved away and moved to faraway places, and they still like hear this song because their friends are sharing it on the internet. And I'm just like, dude, this is bizarre.
That's so crazy.
You know?
There was this producer that I met in Nashville who's from Hattiesburg. Like, I was working at the studio over there. They came up to me and they were like, "Hey, the producer needs like a flash drive or something. Can you take him to Walgreens?" I was like, "Sure." And we're driving. He's like, "So what's your name?" I was like, "Fabio." He's like, "So where are you from, Fabio?" I said, "Hattiesburg." He's like, "Get out of here." He's like, "I'm from Hattiesburg." And he hit me up probably a year later, and he was like, "Did you record Wards?" He's like, "I just heard it." He's like, "That's crazy." He's like, "Someone told me you recorded it." I was like, "How the heck did you hear it?" Like,
I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. It's crazy how far this thing has gone. Every now and then, I just like to mess with people and request it on Southern Miss Radio. It's just like, I know that people are listening to the radio. I'm like, I'm going to request that song. But, you know, I still get a kick out of it. And I was listening to it the other day in the car, and I was just thinking to myself, this is no lie. I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I don't think Fabio gets enough credit for this song, because that radio edited version, like, I'm hearing the things that you did to make that, just the edited version, that much more, you know, unique and funny. Like when Dacon says, "I want to see those boots. I want to see the boots and the tie-dye shirt," which is just like a classic line, you know.
yeah.
Like you add in this, this is hilarious, man. I'm just like, man, Fabio did that, man. That was hilarious. Like you had just as big a part in the making of this song. I mean, it was the only song we ever recorded, and you were there. It was awesome.
I remember when you asked for the radio edit. I was like, I was editing it, and most of them, you know, you do like the screw down thing or like chop something out. And I remember thinking like, man, this is just not working for this song. And I just started adding sound effects in there, like the little bell. Every time I listen to it, I have to listen to the radio edit version because it sounds like you're in awards almost.
Yeah, I always kind of I shared the explicit version with everybody, but then I started realizing that I have a friend who's a DJ. He's like a kind of a well-known DJ in the Pine Belt here. DJ Don King. Everybody knows your boy, DJ Don King. He works for iHeartRadio, but he does a lot of DJing gigs around town. And he was telling me, he's like, "Oh man, I'm playing the Ward's Christmas party, like for all the company Christmas party for the Ward." And I said, "Man, you got to play Wards Over War for him." He's like, "You got a clean version?" I said,
"Oh man,
I don't." Like, man, I got to get that clean version back.
So would you describe you guys at the time like as a comedic rap duo thing? Like, were you guys just completely like comedy stuff off the top?
I think, yeah, I would say it's always goofy with me. I love to make people laugh. And Dacon, I think he actually has told me that the way that we are together, my goofiness, I guess, is contagious for him or something like that. He loves that it's playful and it's not so serious, and he can be goofy as well, because he was being from a more serious rap side. And then when he hooked up with me, he was like, "Oh, this is fun. I can try and be goofy,
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, trying to make people laugh." And when we performed, we, trying to be a little bit political or send a message. Anytime there was something going on in the city of Hattiesburg, we would kind of just poke fun at it. So yeah, in a way it is comedic, like, just one of those strictly comedic hip hop,
It's like
just
SNL on music.
Exactly. If there was something that the city was up to that we were just kind of like, and this is during a time when, oh man, like our city government was being kind of weird, and there was like this horrendous smell coming from the sewage lagoons and all this other stuff, and they couldn't fix the smell. And it was just, everybody would, you hated it downtown. It stank. It was the funk of Hattiesburg. We'd always sing about the funk. We'd sing about, there was one time that the city employees were squandering like their gas card or something. There's something happened where, like, just something city government was up to, and we would just whatever's in the news kind of thing. We'd poke fun of whatever we could. Just having fun, man.
Yeah, dude, that's what it's about. I read something that said, I think it was on your SoundCloud, that said that you guys use like audience participation sheets on random songs to get insight from the crowd. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so particularly at the Thirsty Hippo, when we would perform there, I would do this thing. You know, I'm a big fan of Mad Libs. I love Mad Libs. I'm still to this day a big fan of making up just goofy stories. So my audience participation sheets were essentially just little fill-in-the-blank questionnaires where I would ask the audience, like, hey, like, what's one of your favorite activities? What's one of your favorite books? What's one of your best birthday gifts you've ever been given? Just random questions, usually about 3 or 4 questions. And then people would turn those in before we would play. I would make up a beat, and Dacon and I would kind of, we'd take one question and we'd like make up a song about one question. We would just kind of rhyme the words. We would say like, and it was all completely anonymous to where people could just put really vulgar or just like really like dark, you know, it was some dark humor in there. I mean, it's a lot of tongue in cheek stuff. And we would sit there and just kind of, try to rhyme about it. People would have me saying the craziest stuff. And some of those live shows that we did, I tried to record them, but I don't think any of them were recorded in a very proper way.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff was just so goofy because it was all completely anonymous. I mean, that was one of the things that people like really like and people would stick around and wait till they hear their answer. Like, oh, like I got to hear this guy. He's going to say something horrible.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that is not easy to do, at least for me.
It's actually something that I still like to do when I play at the Hippo. Dacon and I have kind of gone our own separate ways. He's moved out to Texas, but whenever I perform now, I still like to do that every now and then. If I play with my friend Scott Chisholm, who's a musician, and he goes by the name Battle Cat. And whenever I play if we're doing a show at the Hippo, I like to do it. And I tell Brad not to like go move the tables. We don't need a dance floor. It's usually kind of like a lounge kind of show. It's more in that comedic.
Yeah.
People can sit down if they want to. This isn't like it's all about having fun, really.
I know that you mentioned, you got the radio airplay, and like I saw over 6,000 views on the music video. Like, what sort of feedback are you getting on the song and stuff?
I'm getting all kinds of, a lot of people see me out in town like, oh man, it's the Wards guy. Like, for some reason, I've done this song and people just recognize me as the Wards guy. So, I'm telling you, like, I've done all these different things in my life. I grew a mullet one time and I was the mullet guy. But now, after recording that song and having it kind of go somewhat viral in the area, people are just like, oh, it's the Wards guy. People still laugh about it, Oh, yeah. Man, I shared that with my uncle. Oh, I shared that with so-and-so. Like,
yeah, as long as Wards is around, I don't think it'll ever get old.
You are right. And I had one of the things about, if you want me to talk about how that whole video even came about.
Yeah, that was actually my next question, so go ahead.
I go to Wards quite, like every so often. And one of the managers at Wards, who's a friend of mine, I was like, dude, you know about my song, right? He's like, well, is it on YouTube? And I said, well, it's not on YouTube. It's on SoundCloud. He says, well, it's not on YouTube. It should be on YouTube. And I'm like, well, dang, man, Dacon and I don't really play anymore. So I went back to school at Southern Miss, and I was taking all these media production classes and doing all these video projects. It was the fall of 2018. I was taking one of my classes, and the teacher came to us and said, like, early in the semester, he said, all right, you'll have like a big project to do this semester. You have to make a documentary or a short narrative or a music video. And I just thought, well, I made a documentary last semester, and if we're being assigned a music video, I have a song recorded that I've always wanted to make a video for. It needs to be on YouTube. What better than Wards Over War?
Yeah, was meant to
video.
be.
So So I got some friends to help shoot it. I asked for tons of friends to just come out and be in the video. So you see all my friends in the background. I mean, it was a goofy day. I asked people to be there so early. They didn't want to, they're like, oh man, what time are you? 9 o'clock in the morning at Ward on a Saturday. What are you, crazy?
It's got to be Saturday.
Oh, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I saw when you did that post, like everybody was commenting. You were like, anybody willing to do this? And everybody was like, me.
Oh, yeah. It got a lot of, I'm thankful that my friends showed up. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And in hindsight, as far as my video goes, it was still a learning curve on, like, making a music video. There's things that I probably would have done differently, especially now looking at, like, how a lot of people are watching the video.
Yeah.
On their phones and stuff. Just the fact that people are enjoying the song.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. So, just want to tell you, man. Like from the little time I've known you, like literally that day that we recorded, and then the relationship that we've had on and off on social media. Like you're super funny. Like I can't come across one of your pictures that I don't bust out laughing on. You're talented. I've seen your documentaries. I've seen you interview a couple of people. I saw the little series that you had where you were interviewing like local people at local restaurants, and you're involved with so much in Hattiesburg. And I've seen you've been doing pop-up shows, like you said, with like Battle Cat and stuff and other artists. What else have you been up to, or anything that you want to promote?
Just been taking it easy. I graduated in May, and I'm actually currently working for a newspaper and magazine publication. There's a couple little projects that I'm wanting to get started here in the next couple months. My buddy Scott, who is Battle Cat, he's been playing in a couple other bands, so we've been just kind of taking it easy and taking it slow. But I definitely want to get in the studio with him and make a couple things happen. All I can say is people just need to, follow me on social media and see what happens next, because, hopefully in the next couple of months, something's going to be coming out. So,
yep, for sure.
We'll
so
see.
Everybody just make sure to keep an eye out for Massive J on social media. That's Massive, and then the letter J. And,
yeah.
That would be really cool if we could get you to come out to Pensacola and do a couple of shows, because I haven't seen anything like that around here. I've never seen anything like that in Hattiesburg. One of the things I miss about Hattiesburg is, like, collaborating with people. I was in so many bands when I was there. Like, almost every month I was in a new band, or, like, 5 bands at one time, and everybody was just, like, playing shows all the time. And since I've moved from there, like, it's really hard to find cool people to collaborate with.
Yeah, I will say I've been blessed. This town is amazing. There's so many artists here. It's one of the things that I so love about Hattiesburg. It almost feels like it's like the little Austin, Texas of Mississippi. It's like I feel like Hattiesburg is the coolest town for art in Mississippi. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. The School of Music at Southern Miss is quite amazing. You have some amazing jazz. They have like a jazz program, and these kids that play in that jazz program are some of the most technically sound musicians I've ever met in my life. Just, all kinds of other artists. It's just I don't know, this place is really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to set aside to be on the podcast. I was not expecting to talk as long, but like it just felt natural, man. Everything came out. Like we talked about a lot of stuff. You elaborated on things that I had no idea about, and now I have actually more insight on the song than I expected to have. So like that's pretty cool hearing about all that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, later, Fabio.
Yeah, that dude's awesome. I want to take this time to shout out Dacon as well. I wasn't able to get him on the podcast this time, but hopefully soon I can get him to come on and talk about his experience. So you're listening to Fresh Produce. I won't delay it any longer. You're listening to Words Over War by Dacon.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
I'm not doing too good, man. I just got a letter from the Selective Services that says I have to go to war.
Oh man, you're gonna get deployed?
Hell yeah, but I'm really hungry, man.
Yeah, man. Well, it's Saturday.
I'd rather go to wars than war.
Hell yeah, let's go to war.
Wars over war it is, my friend.
Yeah.
All right.
They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars. They're talking about going to war, but I'm talking about going to wars.
Going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars, I'm going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars.
They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars. They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars.
Going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars, I'm going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars.
Yeah, I'm driving real reckless, trying to get to wars where they stop serving breakfast. Yeah, I'm driving in the left lane. People got me going crazy insane. Yeah, over by the old mall. Best wars, I told y'all. Yeah, you know I need that biscuit, and you know I need it real quick. Down at wars on Barter Street, they bringing the heat. Yeah, I don't play with swords. I'm going to wars. Yeah, I need milling, mother needs filling. Yeah, I need that big one, cause I like to have more fun.
They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars. They're talking about going to war, but I'm talking about going to wars.
Going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars, I'm going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars.
They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars. They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars.
Going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars, I'm going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars.
In traffic and I'm going berserk. I wonder if my favorite clerk's still at work. I want a meal, I don't need dessert, and I wanna see some boobs in a tie-dye shirt. Hey, see you know how I do. Man, I'm trying to get a number in the drive-thru. Eyeing her, she was eyeing me. I wonder can I get a number 5 for free?
A 5 for free, a 5 for free. I wanna get a number 5 for free. 5 for free, a 5 for free. I wanna get a mother 5 for free.
Oh, she said we can get it done. Do you want the sesame seed bun? Then I said no, hun. You know it's big ones over big guns. They talking about going to war. I'm talking about going to wars. They're talking about going to war, but I'm talking about going to wars.
Going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars, I'm going to wars, I'm going to wars. I'm talking about going to wars.
This ain't no competition, I ain't the ref. The chili ain't no good unless it gives you bad breath. The chili ain't no good unless it gives you bad breath. The chili ain't no good unless it gives you bad breath. Bad breath, bad breath,
Breath, breath, breath.
bad breath, bad breath, bad breath, bad breath, bad breath.
Yes, wars over war, ladies and gentlemen. I see all the ladies out there looking good, smiling back at me with your smirk. But I'm finna put you to work. Say this with me now. Hey, I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. Hey, I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. Everybody say, I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. You work at wars, 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 wars. Everybody now, I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. Say it loud now. I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. I said that I know where you work if you got that tie-dye shirt. You work at wars. Wars. Yeah. Take 'em away, Master J. Jay, take 'em away. Take 'em away, Jay. Take 'em away, Jay. Take 'em away, Jay. Wars over war. Sweet potato fries over innocent lives. Scrambled eggs over severed legs. Beef franks over battle tanks. Big ones over big guns. Big one doubles with all the fixins versus innocent killing. Wars over war. Alright. Wars. Wards.
So that was Wards Over War by Dacon. I'll have links to everything that we talked about, to this video, to Dacon's page, to Massive J's page. So that's it. Don't forget to subscribe and check out previous videos. Till next time. Peace.